India and Poland are celebrating the 70th anniversary of the formal establishment of diplomatic relations. Over the last 7 decades, both countries have formed a robust partnership based on opposition to imperialism and racism, as well as commitment to democracy and pluralism. It was Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, who was instrumental in kindling ties in 1954. Morarji Desai then elevated relations with his visit to Warsaw all the way back in 1979. Now, after 45 years, Prime Minister Modi has touched down in Poland again. But what's the interesting fact? The interesting thing is that the link between the two nations precedes India's independence. We share a historic connect forged during the Second World War. Indian and Polish soldiers fought shoulder to shoulder at Monte Cassino in Italy from January to June 1944. This was a pivotal battle that helped turn the tide against the Axis forces. It was in this battle that the Allied forces broke through the Gustav Line, which was a series of heavy fortifications constructed by the Germans in the Apennine Mountains. At a height of 1,700 feet, Monte Cassino's terrain is at par with the Himalayas. 50,000 Indian troops and 56,000 Polish soldiers braved a grueling uphill struggle to defeat the Axis powers and helped open the road to Rome. However, both nations bore heavy losses. 5,504 Indian soldiers and 1,200 Polish troops sacrificed their lives at Monte Cassino. The valor of the Polish and Indian troops is remembered till date. In fact, Prime Minister Modi visited a monument in Warsaw commemorating this battle and the shared historical connect. We'll talk about this with our guests and discover the overlaps as well as the deep-rooted connections that both these countries have had at a time when the Prime Minister is in Poland. Dr. Vasilin Popovsky, Professor and Vice Dean of O.P. Jindal Global University, joins us on the show. Major General Harsha Kakkar, Strategic Affairs Expert, also with us on the program. Colonel Padma Senan, Strategic Affairs Expert, also joins us on the show. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation. Dr. Popovsky, if I can begin with you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Well, like I said in my opening monologue as well, that the connect between India and Poland is not only limited to the Prime Minister's visit. There has been a very rich history of fighting evil together. Do you think that the evils of today's time are also something that can be taken on by both the governments, but these are different evils today that we are dealing with?
Absolutely. It's an historical moment, and we are all very happy, the Europeans and Indians. I live in India, but I'm in contact with my friends in Poland and the rest of Europe. It is historic, and it's kind of a reminder how much those democracies, as you said, can do together back then in the Second World War. And in a situation of today, we also face a lot of challenges globally. And obviously, Poland and India and other democracies should join their forces to meet those challenges, to defeat the aggressors, to reduce the war crimes and everything else which needs to be done in the 21st century. Very historic. Everybody I spoke with in Poland, in Ukraine, in Bulgaria, in the rest of Europe are very happy with the visit of Prime Minister Modi. I was asked also to speak to several TV channels in Europe, and everybody celebrates this visit, and the expectations are really, really very high. Tomorrow, Prime Minister Modi goes to Ukraine, which is also a historic visit, and that is expected also to go very, very well.
All right. Major General Harsha Kakkar is also with us on the broadcast. So, General Kakkar, your impressions of this historical visit. Obviously, India was occupied by the British when this, token of camaraderie was exchanged between these two great powers. But the fact of the matter is that this outreach in itself, is, becoming, an example of sorts for the world to follow. Everybody's perhaps attracted to the West, to the Western European countries, to China and maybe Southeast Asia. But the fact of the matter is that it's Eastern Europe and Central Europe where, a lot of development, unnoticed development is going on, and India can definitely stake claim to such healthy partnerships.
Firstly, let's come down to the Battle of Monte Cassino, where PM Modi did lay the reed today. This was where 4 Infantry Division, currently based in Allahabad, had participated. And the offensive was led by one of its brigades, which is the 7 Infantry Brigade, still a part of it. For those who are not in the know, the Museum of 4 Infantry Division in Allahabad does have remnants of this battle. It's there. It's covered very well in the museum. And with the way the IDS is now moving with basically linking 47 museums of the armed forces together onto a common platform, which is a work in progress and should be done in a few months. It will be available to the Indian public to see these memories of the battle, which is there in the 4 Infantry Div Museum in Allahabad. I happen to serve with them not once but twice, and I'm well aware of the availability of the material in the division. Secondly, coming to the visit, we've got to realize that the visit has got multiple connotations. Take it or leave it, it depends on the way you want to look. The fact is, after the visit in July to Russia, during which there was a lot of criticism, especially since the visit coincided with the NATO summit in Washington, there was a feeling that unless, if India wants to really balance its ties on both sides, there should be a visit to Ukraine. There was an invitation which was there, and that is now being used. There's a lot of talk of India being possibly involved in trying to negotiate a solution with Ukraine. I wouldn't take that at face value. We've never believed in getting involved unless both sides request us to. Now, coming to the visit to Poland, at the outset, it's something which was long, long overdue. Poland is a very major power in Eastern Europe, and frankly, despite the fact that it has its own problems with Russia, the PM went there, spent 2 days there. He had a series of meetings and is looking to enhance ties with Poland. Is a clear indicator that India is not strictly an ally on any one direction. We're looking at expanding, and the way the PM spoke when he spoke to the Indian diaspora, and then what transpired in his meeting with the Polish leadership of moving ahead on trade and on other issues, especially on the fact that Poland stood by India when its students were vacating Ukraine. The Indian diaspora in Poland stood by them. And I think we really need to enhance ties with Eastern Europe, and I think Poland will be our gateway. Our ties are currently at just about $5+ billion, but I think we have a lot more to go. And with the way we are moving, I think Eastern Europe is going to be the next direction in which the Indian government is going to be looking.
Okay. That's a great point, sir. And Colonel Padma Senan is also with us on the broadcast. Sir, if you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you, Vineet.
So, right. So the consensus here is that, this outreach is not only about, visiting a particular country after 45 years. It's also about understanding where our growth is strategically and economically.
Yeah, most certainly. The focus is now shifting to the Eastern Europe, and India being a major player and a very fast developing economy has a major role, not only in the economic world, but in the strategic thinking and in the way that strategy develops across the world. And the shift, the hot areas of global, say, power play is in the Middle East and in the Eastern Europe. And our role as a major developing power is unquestionable.
Right. And so in terms of Prime Minister's visit to Eastern Europe and a subsequent visit to Ukraine also, how do you look at that strategically as well? We are obviously trying to balance both sides of the fence here.
Yeah, the Prime Minister has always articulated his views that this is not the era of war fighting. And peace is most essential to the economic development, which is a critical area. And his focus is to develop India as the third most biggest the economic power by 2047. So peace is an essential complement to economic development, and nothing can say substitute peace. And we are a developing economy. We have no option other than to support peace.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.